Hi, welcome to Sci 2012 for the Summer B semester. My name is Jackson, and I'll be your instructor for the rest of the semester. Today, we'll just be doing a syllabus review. The syllabus is one of the most important parts of the class, right? It'll serve as your guide for the rest of the semester, and there's a lot of important information in there. So we'll be going over that in a little bit of depth today to hopefully answer or clear up any confusion that you might have had while reading it. And to emphasize some points that are perhaps more important. Just to give a little bit about me, to create a little bit more of a personable feel in these strange times where we have to do an online lecture when we weren't really planning to. So I'm a graduate student here at UF. I study developmental psychology. More specifically, I'm interested in parenting and children's socio-cognitive skills. And more specifically than that, I'm actually interested in whether or not certain parent behaviors like sense of humor or the language that they use influences children's abilities to take other people's perspectives. That's a simple way of explaining it, but it'll do the job. Additionally, some just interesting facts about myself, I guess. I like to cook and bake. I have recently started to become a little bit more of a plant mom. The plant I am most proud of is a vanilla plant. So in 3 to 5 years, I might get vanilla. So I'm really looking forward to that. But if you want to know anything else about me, feel free to reach out. I'm sure that I'll, sprinkle in some details about myself over the course of the semester in your discussion boards. One other important point, I am from Pennsylvania and not from Florida. So if I ever say anything about Florida and you're like, that's not true, it's, I've lived here for 4 years, but I still don't have a handle on I still don't have a handle on Florida because it's a crazy place. So let's get started. And we'll start with general information. So first and foremost, if you ever need to contact me, email me at jacksdaniels@ufl.edu. This is probably the fastest way to contact me. But with that said, please allow for 24 hours for a response, right? I check my email pretty frequently. I check it every single day, but sometimes I might get busy and maybe I'll check the email in the morning and not for the rest of the day. Or I'll, people get busy, right? What this means, though, is that last-minute requests may not be seen or responded to in time. So that means to be planful, and this is really hard, and I'm somebody who's not great at this. If you have an assignment, it's best to kind of look up instructions of the assignment ahead of time to see if there's any points of confusion so that you can email me. Oftentimes what happens is students procrastinate, which is understandable. It's human to procrastinate. But they wait until, if an assignment is due at midnight, they wait until 10 p.m. to start, and suddenly at 11 p.m. they have questions, but I have checked out of email for the night. I may even be asleep because even though I'm not that much older than you, I am older than you, and 11 p.m. is too late. So I've not responded to students because they emailed me too late for an important question, and then, they haven't turned in their assignment correctly. So just, again, it's easy to procrastinate, but don't procrastinate looking up assignment instructions to make sure that you understand everything. Additionally, before emailing, read the syllabus or any announcements that I've posted. The answers to your question might be there. So this is a time saver for you, right? You don't have to allow 24 hours for me to get back to you. And also, it's a little less annoying on my end, right? That I didn't have to answer something that I already put effort into explaining. And I know that there's other faculty members out there, other instructors who get really mad when students email a question that they've already answered. So just good practice to always read instructions, read the syllabus, read the announcements carefully to make sure that you are, following along with what the information that we're telling you. And just to be helpful here, because I think students can be confused or instructors have personal preferences, you can just call me Jackson in any email. You can just say, hi, Jackson, yada, yada, yada. Here's my question. You don't need to call me anything formal. You definitely don't need to call me Professor Daniels. I do not have that title yet since I am just a grad student. More important information, my office hours will be Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. or by appointment. If that kind of morning slot doesn't work for you at all, maybe you work, maybe there's one computer in your household and, parents, siblings, family members, caregivers are on that computer during the day, you can also make an appointment with me. And you do this by emailing, and then we can set something up to make something work. In these strange times, I could even potentially do something on the weekend, but I wouldn't like doing that, but it's possible. How office hours will work is you will join my personal Zoom meeting room, and you'll do that by clicking this link, which will also be in Canvas. It'll be the same link every week. And a note here, waiting rooms are enabled. So that means that if you join the waiting room, there'll be a little pop-up box that says to wait till I let you in, just so you don't get confused and leave because you didn't join right away. Also, please use your name in your Zoom profile. There have been a lot of cases of people joining Zooms that probably shouldn't be there. So I don't want to kick you out because you gave yourself a silly name, right? I've actually done that, where I gave myself a silly name during a board game night with friends, and then I had to make sure that I changed that before the next professional meeting I went to, right? So I recommend that you guys do that too. Make sure that you're using your name so that I recognize who you are, and then I'll be happy to talk to you. So just to go over a brief course overview, these are kind of our goals for the course. My goals are to teach you the actual science behind psychology and how this is a little different from how media or television or pop psych kind of frame psychology. So we're actually going to learn the science. Additionally, we'll provide you with an introduction to the different areas within the fields of psychology. So there's a lot of variation and diversity within psychology. So we're going to be giving an introduction to multiple different fields and concepts and different areas within psych. But with that said, it is an introduction, so we won't be going into each of these areas in depth. Additionally, one of the goals of the class is just to teach you the concepts of the field and how to apply them. So that's important. This course won't just be about asking you to memorize a bunch of information and memorize terms and concepts and how to define them. Instead, the questions we'll be asking on the quizzes will really be application style questions. So how are we actually applying psychology and these terms and these concepts within the real world? So now we'll briefly go over the required textbook and kind of how to use it. The textbook you'll need is Psychology from Inquiry to Understanding, and we'll be using the 4th edition. So my recommendation is to use whatever the cheapest option of the textbook is that you can find. So a used copy, a downloadable copy online, if you can find one of those. A student already emailed me about using a loose leaf copy of the textbook. Whatever is the cheapest option possible, please use that. Pearson Revel is an option for students who don't want to buy the hardcover of the textbook, but would be happy with an online version. So this is cheaper than the hardcover. So if that's what you want to go with, go for it. With that said, nothing is required in Pearson Revel. You don't have to do any of the quizzes. You don't have to watch any of the videos they have. I find that some students find it helpful to watch the videos in Pearson Revel. And they have different PowerPoint slides that I use that you can look at. But yes, so it's just a cheaper option for you. So now, how to use the textbook, right? Are you supposed to be reading it every day? Are you supposed to read it before watching each lecture? The answer is, it's up to you. I haven't made all the quizzes yet. I've made the first few, but I'm still writing the next couple. And most of the quiz questions I'm writing are things and topics that I'm covering in lecture. So if you are on a tight budget and really don't want to even buy a textbook, you don't have to. There might be 1 or 2 quiz questions that are based on the textbook and the textbook only. But again, I understand that there's financial needs that students have. With that said, the textbook is of course helpful. They probably, they go into a lot of detail that I might not go into in all of my lectures. So it's my best recommendation to use the textbook because it's only helpful to have as much information as possible. But again, it's up to you how you're actually using and engaging with the textbook itself. So now let's talk about the lectures themselves. So they'll all be structured like this, where my face will be in the corner and I'll be talking at you. And these lecture videos will be uploaded to YouTube, and then these links will be added to Canvas under the appropriate module. So each course chapter will have its own module, and in that module will be my lecture videos. It'll be supplementary or other required videos. If there's a discussion that week, there'll be a discussion board post within that module. So it's pretty easy to find and hopefully well organized, but if anybody gets confused, let me know. Watch these at your own pace. Do whatever works best for you for watching these videos. But the one recommendation I have, right, if you want to procrastinate them, you can procrastinate them. The one recommendation I have is that the videos do differ in length. So before at the beginning of each week, I recommend checking how long each video is, right? So if one is an hour and a half versus, 2 40 to 50-minute ones, it's good so that you kind of know what you're getting into each week and you know how much time you're going to have to spend on the lecture video before the quiz. Also, with that said, it's important for you to find your own balance for how you're watching these videos and how you're reading the textbook. My best practice recommendation for what I think would be the best way to do this would be to view the lecture video, and then anything that you get tripped up on or that you're unsure about, read the textbook more in depth about that concept. Or another best practice would be to skim the textbook, kind of get an idea for what the major themes are, and then watch the lecture video. However, if you find that watching the lecture videos doesn't really help you and you'd rather just read the textbook, feel free to do that, right? Again, these are odd times. None of us expected to be doing this online. Learning from a screen is tough. Learning from a textbook is tough, right? It's all harder than learning from an in-person lecture. So whatever is working for you, keep doing that. It might take you a week, right? It might take you until the first quiz to figure out what balance is best for you, but then do that. The one recommendation I have for why I think the lecture videos are important, other than the fact that I made them, so I've connected to them, is the amount of examples that I will give, or the more in-depth kind of description that I will give compared to the textbook. Additionally, I do give a lot of examples, and the examples I give tend to be ones that are similar to the examples I end up writing in the quiz questions. So sometimes an example I give in lecture will be pretty similar to the structure of a question you'll get on the quiz. In line with that, the textbook has a lot more information that I'm going to cover in a lecture video. It has a lot of what I think of as extraneous information and, frankly, out-of-date information. So watching the lecture video cues you into the information that I think is important and that I think should be on the exam, right? When there's a lot of content and I'm highlighting specific content within that, that gives you a good idea of what's important and what you need to know. So again, up to you. If you find that the textbook is way easier to read, I have learned through doing this that my voice is way more shrill than I thought. And if you are kind of done with listening to me, I understand. I won't take it personally. Just don't tell me about it, okay? And then some notes about the videos. So you've probably already noticed it in this video. I am not a professional at this. I really enjoy giving lectures to a class of students because it feels personable. Filming myself talk at a computer screen, not as fun, and I make a lot of flubs. So I've had to edit out a lot of stuff and cut and all that fun stuff. I also get interrupted and I take breaks. So you'll notice lots of weird little cuts, and you might also notice lighting changes or hair changes or my bathroom light turning on and off in the background. I'm sorry if that's distracting. It's just a consequence of filming myself for hours of time during the day. Additionally, why there's this adorable picture over here, I was fostering kittens at the time of filming about half of these lecture videos. So if you see kittens or hear kittens, that would be why. And in fact, you probably did in the last slide because one was yelling at me. One is sleeping on my lap and I'm playing with another one with a piece of string. So I'm sorry if that's distracting for anyone. I hope that that is only a benefit, that every once in a while we have cute little cameos. And maybe a fun game you can play is there a kitten in this lecture video? I don't know. Keep learning fun, right? And the only way to do that is cute, and a good way to do that is cute animals. Another point which I kind of just touched on is that I am actually traveling back to Pennsylvania soon. So about midway through filming these lecture slides, I will be in Pennsylvania instead of in my apartment here in Florida. So about midway through, you'll notice a location change. Again, I just hope that it's not distracting, that suddenly, you're just getting used to this beautiful white background and annoying light behind me, and then I change. But yeah, sorry about the distractions. So we'll briefly go over the disability resources that are available at UF. If you need accommodations for any reason, you can go to this website or call or email the DRC office on the laptop. Sorry, everybody. So yeah, if you need any sort of accommodation, this is who you'll contact. But you should let me know if you need an accommodation by at least July 10th, right? That gives you about a week, I believe, until your first quiz. So that gives me time to prepare. If you need more in-depth accommodations, right? If you need a note taker or if you need subtitles, it'd be great if I could know that earlier, since that'll be a lot of work of implementation. The DRC also does not just cover resources for things like learning disabilities or other types of disabilities, but also, if you have a family emergency or, something huge kind of happens in your life, the DRC is good at developing accommodations for you. So they'll be your first point of contact if you kind of need anything to change within the lectures. Now to describe and discuss the quizzes. This semester, there'll be 5 unit quizzes. There are 6 weeks in the semester, so this is pretty fast paced. After this first week, we will have a quiz a week, and they will be every Friday. It's important to note that your lowest grade on these quizzes will be dropped. So if you, really kind of weren't prepared for your first quiz, you can drop that grade. So this just creates a little bit of buffer for students depending on what situations they're in. Each quiz will have 30 multiple choice applied questions. Again, we are not asking you to just memorize the information. We're asking you to apply it in certain scenarios. And each question will be worth 1 point. So we have 30-point quizzes. Quizzes are designed to assess your knowledge of the course material. So as I said before, quizzes are due almost every Friday except for this first one. And we'll have 24 hours to submit the quiz. So the quiz will open Friday morning at like 12:01 a.m. and close Friday night at 11:59 p.m. And this doesn't mean you have all of that time to complete the quiz. Instead, what it means is that once you start the quiz, you have about an hour to finish it, and you'll be doing this through HonorLock to ensure that we kind of retain academic integrity. These are closed book quizzes, and HonorLock will be able to tell, right? This is an online proctoring system. It will be able to tell if you did kind of look at at your slides or online or at your phone. So here is more information about HonorLock and what it looks like. So for a lot of you, and actually for me too, again, first online class, you're probably new to HonorLock and you might not totally know how it works, or you might run into some troubleshooting problems. So to kind of avoid that, I am including an ungraded syllabus quiz this week. And you don't have to do this, right? It's ungraded. It will not affect your grade whether or not you use it. but it can only help, right? First, because you're going to review syllabus material, and as noted, the syllabus is so important. Additionally, you can kind of work through problems you have with HonorLock. If it takes way longer to set up than you thought it would, you know, so that way you know to prepare for it. If you didn't realize that you don't have a good space to kind of set HonorLock up, any sort of issue you might have, maybe the syllabus quiz is a good time to kind of work through those issues. And I'll be able to see all of the students who tried this, right? So what that means also is that I will have a little less sympathy for students who did not troubleshoot through the syllabus quiz than students who did try to troubleshoot through the syllabus quiz. Of course, students can also run into problems that are totally outside their control, right? Maybe, you know, there's a difference between your internet crashing in the middle of a quiz and you waited until an hour before it was due, and then it took you 30 full minutes to actually set up. Those are very different problems, and one I will be sympathetic for, and one I will be less sympathetic for if you did not, you know, test through HonorLock. But if you have some sort of catastrophic problem or issue with the quiz, we can help, right? So if something happens, your internet goes out, a family member keeps interrupting, we can maybe work something, you know, through something with you. And especially if your internet goes out, we can contact IT and they can confirm that that happened, and then we can set up another time for you to do the quiz. So if you have something go wrong, please email me ASAP, even if it is something like, oh, Faye, I messed up and I didn't troubleshoot ahead of time. I'm still willing to help. It's just a little less sympathetic about it. And kind of along those lines, please give yourself time. They're due at 11:59 p.m., but that doesn't mean start close to 11:59 p.m. Next, we'll talk about the discussion boards. The goal of the discussion boards is to encourage thoughtful engagement with the material. Again, this is online, and I thought this was a good way to encourage students still interacting with each other and then interacting with me, because I will be commenting as well. There will be 5 discussion boards through the semester, and your lowest score will be dropped. So if you don't do a discussion board, or you forget part of it, or one week you're kind of like, who cares, I wrote something really short, your lowest score will be dropped for your discussion boards. Change my angle so that people can see what's going on behind me right now. To receive any credit at all, now this is really important, and sometimes these types of things trip students up. To receive any credit at all, you have to respond to the prompt and respond to a classmate. If you respond to the prompt and give me the best answer you possibly could, and it's, you know, 6 paragraphs long and it's beautiful and you sourced it, and then you forget to respond to one of your classmates, you still get a 0, right? That's important. Additionally, to receive full credit, both responses to the prompt and your response to the classmate should illustrate that you thought critically about the prompt and your classmate's response. So again, if you write that beautiful prompt, you'll get 3 points. If you respond to a classmate and respond something like, I agree, you might only get 0.5 points for that response, and in total you'll only have 3.5 points, even though you put in all this effort. So just important to note, respond to the prompt and respond to your classmate, and you only have to respond to one, and have thoughtful responses. There'll be one large writing assignment this semester, and basically what you'll be doing is you'll be examining a questionable claim about psychology, and you'll be finding 4 empirical articles to kind of write a response to that claim and to evaluate that claim. So what I've done is I've broken this assignment down into 3 different parts. I've done this because in a typical longer semester, like in fall or spring, students take a little bit of time, especially first semester freshmen, take a little bit of time to figure out how they're supposed to do a college level assignment, right? You know, the rubrics are more strict. We have higher standards in college than probably in your high school classes. So in my experience, what happens is that students don't do so great on their first written assignment. then they understand how it works, so then they perform better on their second written assignment for a class. So since 2 writing assignments in 6 weeks is a lot, instead what I've done is to kind of break this down into first an assignment instruction quiz. So you can continue to take this quiz until you get full credit. So this is basically a guaranteed 5 points unless you just don't do this option. And this will just make it so that you are forced to read the instructions of the assignment, right? It doesn't seem like a big ask, but it can be a big ask. Next, for the article, for this paper, you have to find 4 empirical articles. In psychology, when we cite these articles, we use something called APA style. So before you write your paper, I'm going to have you actually write your references up, and you'll be graded on how well you actually follow APA style. This is something that during typical semesters, students get really tripped up by APA style. So it's good to not, have your whole paper grade be brought down by, not fully following APA instructions, sorry. Then you'll actually do the written paper. So this is where you'll actually be evaluating the questionable claim in psychology. You'll be writing up the evidence from your empirical articles to evaluate the veracity of this claim and kind of take a stance. So I hope this helps. If anybody has any more questions, we have a few weeks before we get to this point, but feel free to ask them at any time. The next component, the next graded material that you have is the research requirement. It is a requirement in psychology that all students enrolled inside 2012 participate in some sort of research experience. So luckily, so that we're not coercing students, we also give you the option of also completing that if you don't want to participate in research, or if you are under 18, which is possible, you can instead write a paper, but you have to let me know if you're doing the paper option really soon, and I'll update the deadlines for that. There'll be more instructions of how this research requirement works in the beginning of the semester. I would give you more information now, but it seems like the participant pool, the people who are in charge of the participant pool are doing things a little bit last minute this semester, which again, it's just kind of a crazy semester. So we'll get instructions and there'll be more details posted on Canvas soon. Now we'll talk about late work. You will suffer a grade penalty if you turn in your work late. You suffer a 10% penalty every 24 hours after an assignment is due, and that's 24 hours inclusive. So if you're a minute late, that counts as the next 24 hours, and you'll lose 10%. After 5 days, basically after you've lost 50%, I will not accept late assignments. Of course, there's some wiggle room for people with DRC accommodations, but I will know which students are the students who are submitting these assignments late. Additionally, with that said, it is your responsibility to make sure that you have submitted the correct assignment, the correct file, and so on. It is not an excuse when, a couple of days afterwards, if I check your work and it's the wrong file, you submitted something from the week before, or your file is corrupted, unfortunately, or it's the wrong save, so I only have half of the assignment instead of the full assignment. Unfortunately, that is not an excuse. You must double check. It's as simple as submitting and then re-downloading to check. This probably wouldn't be that big of a deal, but students do submit incorrect files on purpose a lot in order to buy themselves some time. And luckily, it's pretty easy to investigate into the Word document to find out if they edited after the fact. But again, it is just your responsibility to make sure that you are turning in your work on time and that you are responsible for it. This policy does not apply to quizzes, right? I won't let you take a quiz 24 hours after the fact and then just, knock 10% off of your final grade there. You can only take a quiz late for university accepted or university approved reasons. So these are both in the syllabus, and then you can look them up online in the student handbook. But yes, so you can't kind of have wiggle room with your quizzes. We are taking them at a specific time in order to ensure that students aren't sharing information. So now I'll briefly discuss the resources that are available to you. The list of them is all in the syllabus, and I won't, give you all the numbers, but it's just important to note here that college is hard and it's a really tough time for a lot of people. And I think that is especially true during this time of crisis, right? This is a lonelier time than it was supposed to be, on top of the fact that you're going to have your first real, college stressors. So it is totally normal, right? You don't have to, but it is totally normal for students to struggle. So if you are having difficulties, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling, out of control of your anxiety, UF has free counseling services and really fantastic counseling services for students. So you can visit these websites, you can call, there will be somebody to help you. And we actually have a counseling program, through the psych department. So, I know some of these counselors, they're wonderful people who just want to help. And again, it is more than normal to seek out counseling in college. It's more than normal to seek out counseling throughout your entire life. So not only that, we also have, student health care. If you're on campus, you can go to clinics. There's crisis intervention services as well if you're in crisis. But for academic resources, we have a whole list here. If you're having difficulty with, with e-learning support, right? You're learning things online and maybe your internet's not great. You can also contact e-learning technical support. There'll be resources. Just reach out. If you need help finding something, you can always email me. And not only that, obviously, because of everything that's going on, we're also kind of spiraling into a financial crisis along with a pandemic. So if your family or you are struggling financially, there are resources out there for that too. Remember that there are food banks. You don't have to starve. There's no shame in going to a food bank. There's no shame in going to the soup kitchen if there's one in your area. Again, if you're having trouble finding a resource, reach out and don't ever feel ashamed or embarrassed to look for help, because we all need help all the time, right? So there's services and people out there who want to help you. Some final notes. I just do want to remind everyone that this is a fast-paced semester. I always think it's a little unfortunate how many first semester freshmen are kind of encouraged to take this semester, but who knows? I also know a lot of students who like doing it. I just think that I'd been your age and my first semester of college was in 6 weeks. That would have been really stressful. And it's okay if you're stressed out, but what's good is to just remember to breathe, remember to kind of take things one step at a time, and that you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to get through it. But it's 16 chapters in 6 weeks. It's a quiz a week. It's a discussion board a week. And it's a written assignment. That's a lot for 6 weeks. So some helpful hints. Check your email and Canvas every day. I will be posting assignment reminders and more instructions and all of that fun stuff. I will be posting those a lot during the semester. So if you are struggling to remember when things are due or are unclear on how something works, if you check every day, that'll be a good reminder for you. Additionally, put all of the assignment dates into the calendar the first day you start class, right? That way you just have it, it's visualized. I'm not going to spring any assignments on you, right? There'll be no pop quizzes in this course. So if you have all the assignment dates in your calendar, then it's easier to manage. Additionally, my next recommendation is to have a goal of watching at least half, more likely one lecture video every weekday. And hopefully this will help mimic the in-class experience, right? So I would have been lecturing to you at the front of a classroom every day, Monday through Friday. So I can't do that, right? We're all in person, so it's up to you to watch those videos. It's also up to you to, if you want to binge them every weekend or you have a quiz on Friday and you want to binge them all on Thursday, you can do that, but it'll be much harder to retain that information. So much better to kind of stick to a schedule, maybe even take a time block, right? This class was supposed to be at like 11 a.m. I don't even remember anymore. Maybe every day at 11, you sit down and you watch some lecture videos. And if you've gone through all the lecture videos in a week, review your notes during when that class time would have been. Look at the PowerPoint slides, read the textbook during those times. Stick to a schedule. That's my best advice. This is a fast-paced semester. It's going to come at you fast, but you can do it. It'll just take some management. And I'm saying this as an ADHD person. I understand management. It's tough. You can do it. I believe in you. Again, reach out if you're having any trouble, and I'll try to help to the best of my ability. I'm looking forward to a wonderful semester with all of you. And I'm looking forward to, I don't get to see you in person, but I will get to interact with you in your discussion posts and if you come to my office hours. And I would love it if you came to my office hours. I would love to meet my students because that's why I'm doing this. I'm also getting paid, but I'm not getting paid enough for the amount of work. So at least some of it is because I just love the students and I love helping people learn about a topic I'm really passionate about. So yeah, again, looking forward to the semester. Hope you enjoy it too.